My name is Tamica Taylor. I'm a Detective Sergeant in the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Now, me making this video today may be viewed by many as a career suicide. But I'm making this video out of desperation, out of frustration. A number of injustices have been meted out to me by high-ranking members of this organization. And on the 15th of January 2020, I met with the present commissioner, Mr. Anthony Anderson, and I blew the whistle on several high-ranking members. And instead of the matter being properly investigated, as per the Protected Disclosure Act of 2011, or the Whistleblower Act, I have been further victimized to the extent that I am about to be charged by the Narcotics Division on a ganja matter. Now, I must inform you guys that based on communication with my Federation Chairman, Mr. Rowan James, the DPP ruled in this matter from April of last year. And Detective Inspector Sheldon Colson, on the 27th of January this year, that is last Thursday, informed the Morant Bay RM that the DPP has ruled on the same morning, the 27th of January, that I be charged. Now, it's either one of two things. If DPP can justify a charge against me, it's either that evidence have been fabricated or some misrepresentation of information was done. Now, I am calling on two persons. Miss Paula Llewellyn, Director of Public Prosecutions. Ma'am, I have you in very high regard. And I have you in high regard because I don't see you as a person who will compromise your office. So I'm calling on you, ma'am, to take a look at my file, either personally, and in the event that you're too busy, cause one of your competent deputies to peruse my file to see if there's justification for me to be charged. Ladies and gentlemen, this actually started in 2011 when I applied for an accelerated promotional program, which was dubbed the New Accelerated Promotional Program, the NAP. They needed 25 persons for that program, and I ended up in the top 25. Sometime during the process of elimination for that program, I attended a party at the commissioner's residence, the then commissioner, Mr. Owen Ellington, and an incident took place with a high-ranking member of High Command. And from then, several attempts have been made to take me off that program, which proved futile. Now, when I passed the polygraph was the last thing. And when I was actually told by the polygrapher that I passed the polygraph, I was later invited by Mr. Owen Ellington to a meeting. And I went to that meeting with Mr. Owen Ellington and his 4 deputies, Miss Jevine Bent, Mr. Glenmuir Hines, Mr. Delworth Heath, and Mr. Clifford Blake. And at that meeting, I was informed by Commissioner Ellington that I failed a polygraph. After I came out of that meeting where the commissioner told me that I failed the polygraph, the first person I called was ACP Welch, who was in charge of training at the time. And I related to him what was communicated to me by the commissioner. And ACP Welch said to me, "The commissioner told you that you failed that polygraph? I am so disappointed. You passed that polygraph with flying colors." And for him to use the word disappointed to me, it simply means that he knew, that the commissioner knew that I never failed the polygraph. He then went on to say that because I know that it must be a mistake, send an email to the commissioner and ask him for a dialogue, that he wished to have dialogue with him about your polygraph result. He said that if I should go through the regular system, the program, which was supposed to start the following week, would commence without the document reaching the commissioner. So he advised me to pen an email, send it to him for him to pass it, and then he will give me the go-ahead to send it to the commissioner. And bear in mind that there's still evidence of these communications in my email. And that is the thing, almost all my communications with members of High Command have been recorded. And I have grown to see reason to record these conversations from past experience. And when I sent the email to the commissioner, I was later contacted by my ACP, who was in charge of NIB at the time, who told me that an email was forwarded to him by the Commissioner of Police, asking him to remind this police of the protocols to be followed when communicating with a senior officer. I then apologized for my action and asked him to apologize to the commissioner on my behalf, and then inform him that I wish to go through the route of communication. And he told me that he'll get back to me up to this point. Now, my subsequent videos, I will be outlining in details another promotion program that I went on, what was the result, and everything that culminated into this that is happening to me. I will reveal the monsters in this organization that I have been trying to, and I will not say I've been trying to fight them. All I have been doing is trying to defend that which you promised me. You told me to do certain things, and I did them, and all I have been doing is defending that. And as a result of that, you victimized me to the extent that I am about to be charged. Commissioner, I have spoken to you on other occasions. You have given me an avenue to get through to you so that a meeting can be arranged. You would know all my efforts. All my efforts to try to get in contact with you, to try to get a follow-up meeting with you. When I informed you the last time that we ran into each other, and I informed you that since that interview with you, nothing has been done, you seemed extremely surprised. And that is why you gave me a particular avenue of communication. That has been from September last year, Commissioner. And up to this point, I am unable to get a meeting with you. You would know all my efforts. You had given directive to your staff officer to arrange a meeting with me. And Commissioner, from September, that has not been done. Can't you see that something is wrong? I am fighting a system of nepotism, cronyism, and corruption. And I need help. Now, the second accelerated promotional program that I went on was the High Potential Detective Training Program. And this program, successful members would be promoted to the rank of Detective Inspector. For the first program that I mentioned, successful participants were promoted to the rank of Assistant Superintendent. And that is the reason why when I was taken off the program, it had affected me so bad. Because having passed the polygraph, I actually told my mother that, Mommy, I'm going to turn soup, you know. and start both and make preparation for go on the program. I actually called Yui and made inquiries as to how to go about getting leave of absence to that extent. So it really affected me. So I had some doubts about applying for the high potential program. And so it went through the first time and they never got enough persons, and so they invited applications a second time, and that is when I applied and I got through on this program. The program commenced in February of 2013. There were some discrepancies in the program, administrative, and it caused the program to be extended for a further 6 months. This extension saw me being placed at the St. Andrew South Division, the Hunts Bay Police Station. Now, my supervisor at the St. Andrew South Division was Detective Inspector Colin Mackenzie. And my commanding officer was DCP Stewart. He was then SSP Stewart. And when I was introduced to Mr. Stewart by Mr. Mackenzie, they actually indicated to me that they were very good friends. So this is not somebody telling me. I am telling you based on what they told me, that they were very good friends. And from I went to the division, Detective Inspector Colin Mackenzie have been making advances at me, relationship-wise. And mind you, I am not flustered by these things. Being a female in a male-dominated organization, when it looks so bad, naturally you're going to get these advances. But what I have a problem with is when your advances are not encouraged, when you take it out on the persons who are under your command. And I'm going to point out to you what happened, and then you can decide if you consider this to be malicious. Now, when Detective Inspector Mackenzie did my final assessment, I remember, based on the administrative discrepancy that we spoke about, they were saying that participants got too high of a score in the last assessment, so they were warned not to give us too high of a score. So when he did my assessment, I got 76%, which was actually considered to be high at the time. 2 weeks later, when I was on leave overseas, I was told by other members that a second assessment was being requested for the same period. That surprised me because I know that we never did anything further. So why would we need to be assessed further? And I never paid it any mind because I know that I was not there to sign any assessment, so I was not worried. We were later invited to an exit interview at the police academy. And it was at that exit interview, which was led by DCP Clifford Blake, and I think Mr. ACP Elon Powell was there, and somebody else. And at that exit interview, my assessment was read out to me. And I realized that everything that I was assessed on 2 weeks prior to the assessment that they now had for me, everything was cut in halves. So the number of cases that I investigated was cut in half, and the number of clear up also was cut in half. And this was done by Detective Inspector Colin Mackenzie. Now, if there were a lot of persons under his command at this point, I can understand him making those errors. But it was just 2 persons who were to be assessed on this program. And the assessment that went to the commanding officer, Mr. Stewart, it never had my signature on it. And those assessments must have the assessee's signature to show that they agree with the score that was given. And instead of Mr. Stewart asking why my signature was not on the file, on the assessment, he went ahead and said that I was not recommended for promotion. It was at the exit interview that I found this out, and I indicated to the panel, I said, no, sir, that is not correct. That is another misrepresentation of information. And they were asking me if I have proof, and I said yes. And they asked me to email the proof to DCP Blake. And I exited the interview, and I emailed the document to DCP Blake, and he accepted receipt. I didn't stop there though. I printed a hard copy and walked with it to his office up by the towers. And I handed it to him personally. And when I gave him and he perused it, him cuss a bad word. And him said, look how I tell these people to do due diligence. And at this them do. And him said, Miss Taylor, I'll deal with it. The other persons who were recommended for a promotion, and I indicated to him, I said, sir, I am not saying that with this result I want Mr. Stewart to recommend me. What I'm saying is, present this result, present the accurate assessment to Mr. Stewart, and then let him decide if I am to be promoted. Because that assessment that was presented, it would show that I performed way below the other person who was there. So naturally, I wouldn't expect him to recommend me. So that is all I was asking for. Give him the chance to do a fair assessment of me. And the persons who were recommended at that stage were promoted. And no matter how much checks, or how many checks I made to find out why I was not promoted, nothing same way. I remember the group eventually took the matter to court, and eventually it went to a point of mediation. And when this present commissioner took office, Mr. Anthony Anderson, he indicated that all the remaining persons on the program must be promoted once there is nothing adverse against their names. And our promotions were dependent on three things: a work worth and conduct report, a recommendation from the division, and a PMAS, a completed performance management appraisal system form. And my PMAS, the score for my PMAS was 91.5%. My work worth and conduct was excellent, and I still have a copy of it. And I had an excellent recommendation from the division. Those were the three things our promotions were dependent on. And it was on the 2nd of December 2018 that I got word that my name was not on the list of promotion. And I was supposed to go on leave on the 4th of December. And I went up to CIB HQ on the 3rd of December. And I made inquiries as to why my name is not on the list of promotion. And I was directed to ACP Sutherland. When I went to ACP Sutherland, he told me, Miss Taylor, I can confirm with you that your name is not on the list for promotion. But as to the reason, I cannot say. He said, what I can tell you is that there's absolutely nothing adverse against your name. He said, because I don't know of the reason why your name is not on the list, I'm going to bring it to DCP Stewart and see if he can shed some light on it. And he went out the office, and he went to, well, I'm assuming that he went to DCP Hayes' office. And then he came back and told me that we're going to his office. And when I sat before DCP Hayes, I told him, I said, sir, I'd like to know, having met all the requirements for a promotion, why my name is not on the list for a promotion. He told me that it's either administrative or a polygraph. I said, sir, first of all, polygraph was never part of the high potential program. And if it is administrative, why is it not on my file? And it was at that point that I went in detail about what took place on the NAP, everything that I outlined in the first video. I told him of this. And I said to him, sir, why is it that I am at this level and no one is able to tell me definitively why my name is not on the list for promotion? He started to get not angry, but, flustered, short-tempered. And he said, but Miss Taylor, may I tell you, sir, either administrative or polygraph? So I said, yes, sir, but for you to be telling me either or, it simply means that you don't know. And at this point, I would like to know. And that was when ACP Sutherland told me that he was going to make certain checks and get back to me. He later contacted me to say that this is nothing official, but he would advise me to do a second polygraph interview. I said, sir, I am very uncomfortable about doing another polygraph interview because I don't trust the polygraph system in the JCF. And I also penned an email to him and outlined to him, outlining what took place with me under that program as I outlined in the first video, and expressed to him that that is the reason why I don't trust the polygraph system in the organization. And I kept pushing. I kept wanting to find out, why am I not being promoted? Why my name is not on the list? There's absolutely nothing adverse against me. I met all the requirements. And why my name is not on the list? I was not getting any answer regardless of where I go to. And I go to all the persons I could go to. That's why when I tell you that all persons in high command, or most persons in high command, will know of my situation, because I speak to everybody who would give a listening ears. And that is when I eventually went to the commissioner's office and said I was going to lay in wait for him. And I was told that he was at a meeting at the 3rd floor, and I sat at the door and said I was not leaving here until I see him come out. And I don't know how they hide the commissioner from me, but they eventually told me that he went downstairs and I had to go to the 2nd floor. And they told me to go to SP Wood. When I went to SP Wood and told her that I would like to have dialogue with the commissioner, she said that I can't do it that way. Before I say this, I should inform you that from this commissioner took office, 1 month after he took office, I applied to have dialogue with him. And 2 years later, when I keep calling to check on my application, each time they keep telling me that my file is still being vetted, my file is still being vetted. And when I ask them the things that are outstanding, when I check the agencies that they said the files are outstanding from, the agencies indicated that they submitted those files from a year before. So that is why I decided to lay in wait for the commissioner, because every chance I try, every attempt I make, or every attempt that was made to have dialogue with the commissioner was blocked. And she told me that she would have to bring me to DCP Stewart. I said, ma'am, DCP Stewart cannot help me. I have spoken to DCP Stewart on numerous occasions, and DCP Stewart cannot help me. The only person who can help me at this point is the commissioner. She insisted that she cannot just bring me to the commissioner like that. I still have to speak with DCP Stewart. And I met with DCP Stewart in the presence of Mr. ASP Raymond Wilson and SP Wood. And at the meeting, Mr. Stewart said, Tamica, your PMAS is excellent. Your work worth and conduct is excellent. You have an excellent recommendation from your division. Bear in mind, those were the 3 things that our promotions were dependent on. And he admitted that I met those requirements. He said the only thing that is stopping you from being promoted is your polygraph. And if you don't do your polygraph, you'd not get promoted to go do your polygraph. I said, sir, with tears in my eyes, I said, sir, why am I being asked to do a polygraph? And Mr. DCP Richard Stewart, who is in charge of admin, he looked at me in the presence of ASP Wilson and SP Wood and told me that the reason I am being asked to do a polygraph is because the system is showing that I failed one. Mind you, ladies and gentlemen, this is the same polygraph that the commissioner told me that I failed in 2011. That I told every member of High Command about at every different interval, so they know about it. And this was the polygraph that Mr. Stewart was making reference to say that the system is showing that I failed a polygraph, and that is why I'm being asked to do another polygraph. That is why I was singled out to do a polygraph. And it is after that I met with the commissioner. And the commissioner could read my polygraph results and tell me that I never failed it.